Cambridge AS Computer Science, Chapter 9, Algorithm Design and Problem Solving, Part 2. What did we do in the previous session? We studied that we have to create a design. In the AS, you only need to create a design. You don't need to write Python codes. Okay, so the design of an algorithm would be one of three things. Would be structured English, and there are plenty of exercises with structured English. Okay, and also we have pseudocode. Today we have to study or learn about flowcharts, and the flowcharts are all over the O level, and also you see it quite often in the AS. It is quite common that they give you an algorithm because both of them represent an algorithm, a flowchart and a pseudocode. They may give you a flowchart and ask you to write the pseudocode equivalent or the opposite. So that is such an easy question. Okay, let us learn about flowcharts, and let us today also we will make most of the lesson for built-in functions. I will introduce something for you very important, that is called insert. There is something in your paper 2, together with your paper 2, is called insert. I will go to this insert and teach you one of the most recent ones. Hopefully, or probably, will be identical to the one that will be presented in your exam. Let us hope to do some good discussion today, inshallah. Okay, Shabab. So a flowchart consists of specific shapes linked together to represent the sequence of steps of an algorithm. A flowchart represents an algorithm. Pseudocode represents an algorithm. The flowchart is an alternative method of presenting an algorithm, alternative to pseudocode. An algorithm consists of sequence of steps. Under certain condition, you may wish not to perform some steps, or you may wish to repeat. So sometimes you have a decision like this. A decision would be something like if then else. Is A greater than B? Yes, do something. No, do another thing. We call this in pseudocode selection. And here you have to draw, this is also here called selection, and here you have to draw the diamond shape. Okay? And also some other time you need to do repetition, and this is a kind of a loop. So sometimes you need to do repetition. And also you have symbols for input or output. You have symbols for processing. Let us go through this table and exercise and learn about it. Okay? There are four in computer science. When writing algorithms, we use four basic types of constructs. You have assignment. What is meant by assignment? And sometimes they ask you really simple questions that is even simpler than the O level. The AS is just the extension of the O level. Okay, so assignment, an identifier is a variable, is given a value, or the value associated with a given identifier is changed. So you put a value in a variable, or you update or change the value in it. Let us give an example. And here we have a very nice comparison, because we have the structured English, and in the next column we have the pseudocode equivalent, and on the far right we have the flowchart. So for example, let us talk about assignment. So here we have assignment. So this is an identifier. A is a variable, and it is an identifier. We assign 34 into it. It is like the equal sign, but in pseudocode, we reserve the equal sign to a symbol for something else. Okay? Assignment is an arrow. So please, whenever you write pseudocode in the AS, whenever you write pseudocode, whenever you draw a flow chart, if you want to store 34 into A, please put that arrow. Okay, so this is in structure English, we would write it such as that set A to 34. Set A to 34. In structure English, increment B. So how to write this in pseudocode? B becomes B plus 1. And it is read like this. The old value of B, we add 1 to the old value of B and assign it again to the same B. So if B is 4, it becomes 5. If it is 7, it becomes 8, which means increment. This is very basic programming. This is what we used to teach in O-level. This is very basic. Okay? And how can you do this in flowchart? You put a rectangle. Any processing is done in a rectangle, is put in a rectangle. And inside that rectangle, you may either write as a structure English that set A to 34, or you may put this inside here and it is totally acceptable. Okay, so increment B. So, and see arrows, arrows indicate the flow of processing. So first you do set A to 34, next you increment B. Okay, so this is the assignment and sequence in structured English in pseudocode in flowchart. So what is assignment? Identifier is given a value, or the value associated with the given identifier is a change. It already has a value and we want to update. Okay, next, what is sequence? Sequence, a number of steps are performed one after the other. This is sequence because you do this and then you do that in the same order, and the order never changes. What do you think may change the order? A selection may change the order because you select one group of instructions to perform and skip the others. Depending on this condition, A greater than B question mark. Is it yes or no? If it is yes, you do something. If it is no, you do other thing. This is typical if then else. It is written like this. If A greater than B, then do something. And this is the yes path. Else, and this is the no path. Okay? And it is written in a structured English like this. If A is greater than B, then do something, else do other thing. In pseudocode, we have and if. Okay, this changes the sequence. This is selection. We jumped one step ahead. This is selection. So a sequence, a number of steps are performed one after the other. Okay, selection under certain conditions. This is a condition. Okay. Okay, so this is selection. And this is the if then else for selection. This is the structured English. This is pseudocode. And this is how you draw it using flowcharts. Okay, then we come to repetition. Repetition, a sequence of steps, is performed a number of times. So it's a loop. So a repetition is a loop, and sometimes we call it iteration. For example, if you like to print numbers from 1 to 1,000, you have to do a loop that repeats 1,000 times, counting and incrementing and printing. You are not supposed to copy and paste 1,000 line doing the same thing. You just do a loop. Okay, so how a loop is written in structured English: repeat until A is equal to B. For example, how is it written in pseudocode? Repeat until and then A. So here is in some form of words. Here it is. It's like an equation. And this is the equal. Equal here is not assignment. Equal here is test of equality. So we are now comparing A and B and deciding if they are equal, yes or no. So please reserve this arrow for assignment, and please reserve that equal for test of equality. Okay, how you draw it using a flow chart with something like this. A condition, and if no, it goes back and repeat again. Because repeat until when this is answered with no, it goes and repeat again. It goes into here, and there should be something inside this loop to be performed. Okay? Okay. So this is this is sequence and assignment, this is selection, and this is repetition, and then input and output. Input and output are so simple because they are just drawn in parallelograms. And input, you ask something from the user. Output, you present something, a result on the screen. So, and probably you need a prompt. You need a message, for example, input A, and before the A is input, it displays something, a message. We will show examples to understand this. Okay, shabab? So input and output are both in parallelograms. Decisions, either selection or repetition, are in diamond shapes, and rectangles represent processing. And also there should be an oval for the start and end, but not mentioned here. You know that from the O-level course. Okay, this is about flowchart. And last thing before we go and do some exercises, and then we do the most important part about built-in function. Any program follows the following steps: input some data, input some values, process these values, and then outputs the result. So there should be some input followed by some processing, and then at the end output the results. Okay, many problems we try to solve with a computer involve data. The solution involves inputting, this is inputting data to the computer, processing the data, and outputting results. We therefore also need to input and output statements as these. Okay, so what is activity type? Input, enter data into the system. Pseudocode example, input my var. You accept some input from the user and put it into the variable called my var. This is a variable. Okay, so this is an example of input. Okay, an example of processing. Processing means manipulate or change data in some way, perform a calculation to find a result. Give me an example. My num equal my num plus 1. Increment my num plus 1. Or my total equal, or my num equal my num plus total, or something. This is processing. And then output, they output, for example, on the screen, you know, the very first program is output hello world. Send data out. So output, send data out from the system, display or print data. Okay? Okay. Let us now go to a very, very important topic. And I like to explain important topics early in the syllabus, because we will be making use of it all over the syllabus. We have what is called built-in functions. You should have studied in the O-level, there is something called library functions. Library functions are built-in functions in the programming language that you can use, and they provide you in the exam. Let us talk about the exam, because I have something very, very important to talk to you about regarding the exam. And it has also to do with built-in function. When you go to the exam, paper 2, You will be provided with the question paper. Also, you will be provided with something called insert. What is that insert? It is a very small booklet that contains only 4 pages. And those 4 pages are full of a list of functions, built-in functions, ready-made functions you are allowed to use in the exam. However, you must use them in the exam exactly according to the specification in this insert. So please, definitely, inshallah, in the exam, there will be an insert because this is official. I would like to teach you one of these inserts. Okay? And I'm selecting for you the most recent one. This is the insert of 23 June, paper 21. Hopefully, or probably, it will be very, very similar to the insert that you will be provided with in 2004. This is the most recent. This is the latest one I have. I would like to go and study it. I would like to study those built-in functions in my notes according to what is written in that very recent insert, because sometimes they change the way the function behaves. Okay, so maybe there are some changes. Let us study the latest update. This is very important. I will spend the rest of the lesson teaching you about that insert and the functions in those inserts. I hope this will be useful. This is very, very essential. Okay, this insert contains all the resources referred to in the question. You may annotate this insert and use the blank pages for planning. Do not write your answer on the insert. It will not be marked. Do not write your answer on the insert. No one will mark it. Okay? Okay, so this is paper 2, fundamental problem solving and programming skills. For an error, okay, why there would be an error? An error would be generated if a function call is not properly formatted, or if the parameters are of an incorrect type or an incorrect value. You should know what functions are. You should know what parameters are, and this is taught in the O level. However, I will try to teach you here as much as possible. I will try to make it as clear as possible, as if you haven't studied the O level. A string, you have a group of string and character functions. We will be studying them. We have another group of numeric functions. We will be studying them. We have some data functions. We will be studying them. Text functions. We will be studying them. Operators, we need to study them. Comparison operators, and that's it. Comparison operators are very simple. Let us go through it. This used to compare two items of the same data type. Evaluate to true if the condition is true, otherwise evaluate to false. So this is test of equality. This test that something is greater than, this test that something is less than, here greater than or equal, here smaller than or equal, and here not equal to. This is pseudocode. These are the operators used for comparison in pseudocode. So these are called comparison operators. Okay, for example, program is equal to program. Evaluates to false. Why? Because here the P is capital and here the P is small. Count equal to 4 evaluates to true when the variable count contains the value 4. So if count is now equal to 4, and I say is or if count equal to 4, and then it will output true. However, for some other reasons, if the variable count stores 7, 8, or 9, this will evaluate to false. Easy? This is pseudocode. They are just telling you how to use comparison operators in pseudocode. And you have to stick to this way of writing. And I don't think they change. These are the same every year. Okay? May be used to compare type real and integer. It's okay. You may compare a real with an integer. Okay? May be used to compare a character and a string. Case sensitive, so P capital is different than P small. When compared char or string, cannot be used to compare two records. What is record? We studied records. Record is a composite data structure. Okay, let us leave records for now. I cannot open a discussion about it. Okay? Okay. So comparison operator. Okay, let us study. See, I'm getting from the end backward. I don't know why. I'm getting from the. Let us talk about these operators because they are really simple. So I just want to explain them first. An error will be generated if an operator. This is an operator. What does this mean? This is and this is or, this is not. This is mod and div. You should be familiar with mod and div from the O level. I will explain it here. I will explain it here explicitly, okay? Because they will be showing in so many algorithms and maybe you will need to write them or use them in your algorithm. This is concatenate, means joins two strings. Examples are very useful, okay? So this and, so this is a string, summer. You would like to join to it. Concatenate means join to it. Quotation, space, quotation. And also you would like to join to it. Padding. So I think it will evaluate. So if you run this, it will evaluate to summer space padding or padding, whatever. Okay, so this means concatenate and means joins two strings. This is a string summer, and this is a string a space, and this is a string padding, and you join them all together, it becomes like this. The operator, this operator, may also be used to concatenate a char with a string. It's okay. What is a char? A single character. What is a string? A group of characters. You can concatenate them together. It's okay. Okay, this is and. This is logical and. You should have studied logic gates. For and to output true, both sides must be true. Because in logic gate 0 and 0 is 0. 0 and 1 is also 0. 1 and 0 is also 0. However, 1 and 1 is 1. The 1 means true. For example, perform logic AND on two Boolean values. For example, true and false. No, it will evaluate to false. It should be true and true to evaluate to true. So AND is very deterministic. It needs both of them true to output true. The OR is very kind. One of them true is sufficient. So true or false evaluates to true. So this is the logical and, this is the logical or, and this is the logical not. Not true is false, not false is true. It is the opposite. Performs the logical not on a Boolean value. Example, not true evaluates to false. Okay? What else? We are now left with mod and div. Let me draw some equations for you. Let me draw. You should be capable of doing long division. Let me give you a very simple example. For example, here I have 10 divided by 3. Okay? How many times the 10 goes into the 3? I think 3 times. So I write here 3. And what is the remainder? 3 multiplied by 3, this is 9. Subtract to find the remainder is 1. So 10 divide 3 is 3, remainder 1. This is long division. We call this integer division because we don't put the decimal. We just find the remainder. Okay, now it should be very clear because the div gets this result. Finds the quotient, this is the quotient. Find the quotient when one number is divided by the other. For example, 10 div 3 gives 3. And this is the div. Okay? Mod finds the remainder. Mod finds the remainder. This one. Okay? So when one number is divided by another. Example, 10 mod 3 evaluates to 1 because the remainder is 1. This is the remainder and this is the quotient. You should be quite familiar with div and mod because they have been used extensively in the O level, and inshallah we will use it more in the AS. Okay, so these are built-in functions provided in your insert and must be used in the exact format written in your insert. So they should be used like this. Okay? Okay. Okay, let us delete those drawings. Okay, ya shabab. So now we are done with paper 4. Okay. Let us go. I will take it totally from bottom up. Inshallah. That would be easier. Okay. Text file functions. In the O level, there was a little bit about reading from a text file. Maybe you need to read from a file stored on the hard disk. Okay? And then when you read from a file, you do a loop reading line after line until you reach the end of file marker, EOF. So EOF takes a file name and returns Boolean, returns true or false. Return true if there are no more lines. And so when you read lines from a text file and then you reach the end of it, it returns false to indicate that there is nothing more to be read. So returns true if there are no more lines to be read from the file name, this file. So the file name must be mentioned here. Okay, this is the way you should use it. If in your exam there are some reading from a file, the function will generate an error if the file is not already opened in read mode. It has to be opened in read mode. Okay, so that was the only text file function. Okay, let us read those functions. They are really simple. They are really simple. Date function, date format is assumed to be dd/mm/yyyy. So 2 digits for the day, 2 digits for the month, and 4 digits for the year. So this is the format of the date. 2 digits for the day, 2 digits for the month, and 4 digits for the year, unless otherwise stated. Day returns the current day of number. For example, day of 04/10/2003 returns 4 because this is the day. Okay, month returns the current month. But however, this function should receive a date and returns an integer. These about functions. Okay? So this should be a date of that format. And it extracts the day part of it and returns. This extracts the month part of it and returns. This extracts the year part of it and returns. And that's it. So you have function day, you have function month, you have function year. Return the current day, return the current month, returns the current year of this date. Day index, let's look at this. It also accepts a date and returns an integer. Return the day index number, where Sunday is 1, Monday is 2. For example, day index 09/05/2023, return 3. Probably because in the calendar, it will be a Tuesday. And this should be number 3, because Sunday is number 1, Monday is number 2, and 3 should be Tuesday. And set day takes a day as an integer, takes a month as an integer, takes a year as an integer, and combine them together. For example, set date 26, comma, this is going to be the day. 10, comma, this is going to be the month. 2003, this is going to be the year. So this is function calls set day. And these are called arguments or parameters. These are called parameters. And this is the return data type. This is very important in functions. Studying this 4 pages is very, very critical. It will help a lot in our progress in the subject. Okay, so set date, today bracket returns the date. Return a value of the type date corresponding to the current date. So it returned today's date. These are all functions written in pseudocode. They are provided for you to use as they are in your exam, exactly the way they are described here. You may use some or more or all of them. You may, not all of them. You don't need to use all of them. Okay? What else do we have? Numeric function. Return the integer part of x. For example, int 27.5415, return 27. See, discarding the fractional part even if it is greater than 0.5. Because function rounds to a higher or lower number depending on the part ignored. So integer takes a real number and returns an integer. Rand returns a real number in the range. This is random. Rand is random. A real number in the range 0 to x, not inclusive to x. For example, rand 87 returns any number, any random number less than 87. This rand means random. Rand means random. Random function generator. Okay, going back. We are only left now with string and character functions. These are the biggest, and maybe they need clarification. Okay? Okay. So, string and character functions, I'm leaving them till the end because they are really big. And maybe I will use, for example, I will use Excel. I will use Excel to clarify things for you. Okay? We have function left. Let us show it. Let us show it. This is Excel. Definitely, you are not be doing Excel in your exam, but I'm here just to clarify functions for you. Here in cell A1, I will write this string. Okay? I would like to use a function left. Okay? So fx left. Left of what? This. How many characters you would like to get from the left? 3. So it is extracting 3 letters from the left. Let us look at the example. Yes, left of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, comma 3 returns ABC. Starting from the left, and it gets the number of characters mentioned here. If you make it 4, if you make it 1. However, function left always starts counting from the left. Okay? I hope it is clear. So left takes a string and an integer. Please study this today. It takes a string and an integer and return a string that is return leftmost x characters. This is the x. Okay, the left of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H returns ABC and 3 letters. Similarly, you have a function called right. So here fx and function called right. Right of what? Right of this string. How many characters you would like from the right? 3. Okay, so it is counting from the right. The function left counts from the left. Function right counts from the right. So this is right. And there is a function called mid. Mid extracts something from the middle. Here it is called mid. Please, you study this. You study this. Because in my notes, it is called substring. Okay, here I have mid and left. Please, if there is some contradiction between what is written in my notes and what is in here, please study this. Why? Because this is the update. Maybe my notes was 2 years ago. This is the update. I will go and update my notes immediately with that. I'm teaching you 2023. I'm teaching you the insert of the version 2023. This is the most recent. Okay, mid returns. Let me show it. Let me show it first. Okay. We have here function mid. Mid takes 3 arguments. First, the string itself, and the start character is gonna be 2, and how many characters is going to be 3. So I start at letter number 2, starting from the B, and extracting 3 letters. That is going B, C, D. That's going to be B, C, D. Yeah, here 2, 3 returns B, C, D. See, I'm trying to exactly recreate what is written in here. There is function called length that counts how many characters are there in a string. Function length counts how many characters are there in the string. Let us try to do it. But Excel, it is called len. So here, length. However, in Excel, it is called len. I'm just using this for clarification. You have to stick to the way it is in your insert. Len of this and it is 8 characters long. Spaces count. Spaces. So if I put space here, it becomes 9. Okay. So the space counts as a character because it has an ASCII code. Okay. To left, return the integer value representing the length of this string. To upper converts everything into uppercase. To lower converts everything to lowercase. Okay, let us try to do this. So here, fx and upper. Upper of this. It remains uppercase. Okay, let us do here. So this is upper. Okay, this is lower. However, in the insert, it is called to lower. So fx lower, and this, everything becomes lowercase. So this is to lower, and this is to upper. To upper, return an object of the type data type, formatting by converting all character X to uppercase. Okay, to lower, convert everything to lowercase. There are some more details in here. Please give yourself time and study because they are talking about object. What's an object? It's a data type. Because upper and to lower, now in the new version, they work on both strings or characters. A single character or a string of characters. Okay? So this to upper, change everything to uppercase. And if they are digits, they remain the same. Upper of A becomes A. But see, between double quotes is a string. Between single quotes is a char, a single character. Also to lower. This becomes this. And quotation W becomes quotation small w. What else? Num to string change a numeric value into a sentence, into a string. Num to string change a numeric value. For example, num to string 87.5 becomes quotation 87.5. This is a string, becomes text. So num converts a number, integer or real, into a string, just as if it is a sentence. The same here, string to number, the opposite, convert a string into an equivalent number. So quotation 23.45 becomes real. And this is number checks if this string really contains a valid number or not. Is number of this true because this can be converted into a number? Okay? And the last two things, because it took us a lot of time, please study it. I'm sending it for you and study it. We will show examples about them in the classified right now. ASCII and char. You know, for every character, there is an equivalent ASCII code. This function ASCII takes a character and converts it into the equivalent ASCII code. So capital A returns 65. This is the equivalent ASCII code of 65. ASCII of B returns 66. This is the equivalent ASCII code of B. So it takes a character and returns the ASCII code equivalent to it. Here, a char is doing the opposite. It takes the ASCII code and converts it into equivalent character. You should know that there is something called ASCII. For every letter in the alphabet, there is a numeric equivalent numeric value for it. Okay, that's it. That's it about the insert. Please take a copy of it and study it. And let us go now and find some examples about this. Let me go to the classified, because now this is replaced by the insert. Okay, please, and rand generate a random integer. Okay, please follow me a little bit through my notes. Example, some char, we put in it hello world. This is processing. This is assignment. So a variable called some characters, we assign to it hello world. Okay, so this is processing. Output write, this is function write. See, as mentioned in the Excel, in the insert. Write some characters, this is some characters. Some characters is a variable that holds the value hello world. So you are extracting 5 letters from the right, and then output. So this is both processing and output. Read file, this is reading from a text file. My file, my character, this is input because reading is considered input, and this is also processing because it is searching inside a file. Write file, okay, this is output. My file data is, and this is concatenate. Concatenate my chars. This is my chars. You can concatenate this to that. This concatenate is mentioned in the insert. So see, they are now quite often all over your exam. Let us go on. My score equal 65. This is assignment. It should have been an arrow. It should have been an arrow. But okay, forgive the examiner here. Assignment should have been an arrow. For index value 0 to 99, this is iteration. This is a loop. My array, you should know arrays, equal ID, my string 3, 2, this is assignment. If my score, this is selection. This is if then else. And while comes with a loop, so this is iteration. Else message equal error, this is selection and assignment. Okay, if you have done O level, this should be very, very familiar for you. If you haven't done O level, please go and revise my recordings, and soon you will get familiar with that. Okay, let's carry on, because all of these are examples from the classified. Okay, let us continue on, because my score equal 65 is asking you for a description or an explanation what is happening. My score equals 65. This assigns 65 to the variable called my score. Okay, for index val 0 to 99, this is the start of a loop with loop counter called the index val, starting at 0 and going to 99. This means repeating 100 times. Okay, my array, this is an array. This is 2 characters is extracted from my string. 2 characters, position 3 and 4, because you start at position 3 and extract 2 characters. This is like function here should be mid. Maybe the M here is missing. Maybe it should be here mid. This is mid. Mid of my string 3, 2. So it assigns 2 characters, position 3 or 4 from my string to my array element 3. This is an array. If my score greater than or equal 50, then test if my score is greater than or equal to 70. Then do something. This is X selection. End while marks the end of while. This is called post condition loop. Return to the top of the loop to check condition. The last thing else, this is if the condition is false, the variable message will have the value error. Okay, shabab? Okay? So that was a little bit about functions provided in the insert. I hope this is clear for you.